Welcome to our podcast on real-life English conversations. Today, we'll join Maria as she enters a local bank. Maria, how would you greet a bank employee when you first walk in?
A polite way to start is, "Good morning. Could you help me, please?" Using could you makes your request softer and friendlier. Studies show that polite openings lead to better service outcomes.
Absolutely, and starting with a greeting sets a positive tone. For beginners, it's helpful to repeat, "Good morning," or "Hello, I'd like some help." Let's transition to what comes next, stating your purpose.
Right. After greeting, Maria might say, "I'd like to open a savings account." The word account is essential in banking. It refers to a place where your money is stored safely.
Maria has greeted Mr. Patel. To continue, she needs to explain why she's here. Why is it important to state your purpose clearly in a bank setting?
Being clear helps the bank staff assist you faster. For example, saying, "Could you help me open a savings account?" uses a polite question structure and the key term savings account, which means an account for storing money and earning interest.
Great point. Clarity also prevents confusion. A 2019 customer service study found that specific requests reduce wait times by 15%. Now, what common follow-up questions might Maria hear after making her request?
She might be asked for identification, or ID, and perhaps about the type of account she wants. Let's explore those next.
Mr. Patel asks Maria for her ID. For English learners, what does ID mean and why is it required at banks?
ID stands for identification, like a passport or driver's license. Banks need it to confirm who you are. This helps prevent fraud. For example, in the US, opening any account requires valid photo ID according to federal law.
So, Maria could ask, "What do I need to bring?" This polite question structure is useful in many situations. Can you give a sample answer a bank employee might give?
You'll need an ID, proof of address, and sometimes an initial deposit. Notice the word deposit. We'll explain that in just a moment.
After showing her ID, Maria is asked to fill out a form. Can you explain what a form is in this context and why it's important?
A form is a document with blank spaces for your personal information, like name, address, and date of birth. It's like a blueprint banks use to set up your account correctly. Forms help ensure accuracy and legal compliance.
For beginners, repeating, "Could you help me with this form?" is helpful. Are there any tips for filling out forms in English, especially for non-native speakers?
Take your time and ask questions if you don't understand a section. For example, "What does this part mean?" Bank staff are usually happy to help clarify.
Once the form is filled out, Mr. Patel talks about making a deposit. What exactly is a deposit and why is it part of opening an account?
A deposit is money you put into your new account. Think of it as planting a seed in your financial garden. Most banks require an initial deposit, often around 25 to 100 to activate the account, according to the American Bankers Association.
Maria might ask, "Can I make a deposit now?" Or is there a minimum deposit? These are polite, practical questions. Why do banks set a minimum deposit from a customer service perspective?
It ensures the account is used actively and covers basic administrative costs. It also helps customers start building a savings habit right away.
Let's clarify the difference between account types. Maria asked for a savings account, but what's the difference between a savings and a checking account?
A savings account is designed for storing money and earning interest over time. It's like a money box that grows. A checking account, on the other hand, is for daily spending, with features like debit cards and checks. Think of it as your spending wallet.
Many beginners confuse these terms, so repetition is key. Savings for saving, checking for spending. Are there situations where someone might prefer one over the other?
If you plan to pay bills or shop often, a checking account is best. If your goal is to save money for the future, go with savings. Some people even choose both for flexibility.
Throughout the process, Maria uses polite questions like, "Could you help me?" Let's break down why such language matters in banking.
Polite questions build trust and respect. Using phrases like, "Could you?" "Would you mind?" or "May I?" shows good manners. For example, "Could you explain the interest rate?" is more effective than simply asking, "What's the interest?"
And in English-speaking countries, politeness is especially valued in customer service. Can you share one more polite phrase for our listeners to practice?
Certainly. Try. Would you mind helping me fill out this form? It's a great way to ask for assistance.
Let's shift to pronunciation. Some banking terms can be tricky. Could you guide listeners through the correct way to say words like deposit, withdrawal, and balance?
Of course. Repeat after me. Deposit. The stress is on the second syllable. Withdrawal is withdrawal, and balance is balance. Practicing these out loud improves both clarity and confidence.
Listeners, try repeating deposit, withdrawal, balance. If you struggle, break the words down into syllables. Are there any common pronunciation mistakes to watch for?
Yes. Many learners say deposit instead of deposit. Focus on the stressed syllable and practice slowly first.
Now that we've covered the basics, let's review. What are 3 must-know phrases for opening a bank account in English?
First, could you help me open an account? Second, what do I need to bring? And third, is there a minimum deposit? Repeating these helps you remember them when you need them most.
For extra practice, listeners can write these down and say them aloud. Repetition is proven to boost language retention by up to 70% according to language acquisition research.
And using these phrases in real conversations will make you feel more comfortable and prepared.
To wrap up, let's try a speaking challenge. Imagine you're at the bank. What questions could you ask the employee?
You might say, "Could you help me open an account?" Or, "What's the interest rate on savings?" Practicing these aloud, even alone, builds speaking confidence.
Listeners, pause the podcast and try asking 2 or 3 questions out loud. This active practice is key for developing real-world language skills.
The more you practice, the easier it gets. Next time you visit a bank, you'll be ready to speak English with confidence.